Our presenter, Kiki Orski, is an experienced performance improvement consultant with over 20 years of coaching and training leaders to achieve great results by improving workplace relationships. Kiki coaches leaders on how to work more effectively with their leadership teams, their employees, and their clients to improve productivity, engagement, and ultimately profits. Her company, Peak Performance Consulting, is dedicated to helping organizations develop the interpersonal, leadership, and client service skills needed to be an organization of choice. As an organizational coach and trainer, Kiki has focused her energies on the people side of business, the guiding theory and principles of emotional intelligence, 5 behaviors of a cohesive team, and her certification as a results systems coach help provide a solid leadership foundation for all clients in her practice. Her primary goal is to ensure the work and learning that is done is truly sustainable and achieves outstanding outcomes. And we are very lucky to have you with us, Kiki. Please take it away.
Everybody, I am so happy to be here, and I'm so thankful to be here. To get an opportunity to come together with like-minded, really smart, really talented people is truly a gift for me, and I want to thank you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to begin with my story. And my story is, I was a failure. When I started in my business, I started helping leadership in healthcare organizations. And I would work to improve patient and employee satisfaction. That was what I did back, when I started 20 years ago. And I worked with an organization and we got amazing results. Everything was working beautifully. And then I got called in by the president of the hospital. And the president of the hospital said to me, he said, Kiki, you got great results. How are you going to keep these results when you leave? I was shocked. I said, keep the results when I leave? I'm not going to keep the results. You're going to keep the results moving. And that's when I realized, ladies and gentlemen, that I had failed. I had failed the organization. Has that ever happened to you, where you bring a program, a process, a solution, an intervention, and is working beautifully, and then you pass it on to the leaders and it fails? Anybody else? Did that ever happen to you? I can't be the only one. I learned a huge lesson that day. I learned that if I want to really help to make a difference, then I have to start with leadership. And that's what brought me to today's content. This program, this material is going to help you be a success with all the leadership teams and all your frontline managers and supervisors. I love teams. I truly do. I really love the way they work. I love the intricacy. I love the challenge. I love the opportunity. I love the passion. I love the failures. But I have found that no matter how old the organization is, how big or small the organization is, how much revenue the organization brings in, the types of people or the industry that it is, or how smart the people are, that if your teams are not crushing it, ladies and gentlemen, then you are losing out. You're losing out on talent, you're losing out on revenue, you're losing out on innovation, and you're ultimately not achieving the results you could be. Can I have an amen on a Wednesday? Do you agree? Well, hands up, right? Are you in? Yeah. So let's figure this out. Let's really make a difference, because information shows us that our employees are on at least 2 teams. That's 2 hours a week. That's troubling, but what's really troubling is when I see that senior execs are on teams and in meetings up to 23 hours a week. Now that's a lot of time spent in meetings. And if you want to put a cost to that, an hourly cost, sure, if there's only 2 team members in the meetings, no big deal. But when you have 20 supervisors that are in those same meetings, that's a lot of wasted time and energy. And that's not even the most troubling part. This number is. Who can guess what that number represents? Put it in the chat. Productivity, how effective the teams are. Unproductive meetings. Yep, you guys are right on. That 60% is a number that reflects the number of team initiatives that fail. Greater than 50%, 60% of team initiatives fail. What a waste of time and energy. So let's make sure it's not happening with your team or your organization. So today is for learning and development professionals who have teams that are rocking it and want to do better, teams that are not doing so well, or somebody who just wants an additional tool in their toolkit to help individuals or help themselves. But please remember the information I'm giving you today, ladies and gentlemen, it's one tool, just one tool in your toolkit. It works if you work it, but it's still only one tool. So let's make sure we're using it for the right reasons. So I hope you all have paper because I want you to take tons of notes. Because my promise is I wanted to give you a gift today. I'm like, what do I give the people who are smarter than me, who have been around longer than me, who have more experience than me? What do I give you? So I'm hopefully going to give you tools, tips, and techniques that you can take back to your organization first thing tomorrow. So I'm going to introduce the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team process. It's built on the work of Patrick Lencioni, international bestseller, on the New York Times bestseller list for over 20 years. The process is amazing. We're going to discuss how to develop your teams, whether they're in person or remote. I want to give you action steps, real practical things you can do tomorrow and you can share with your team leaders. And then I want to answer your questions and have you learn from each other. So, in order for the next 50 minutes to be really awesome and for you to say, wow, what would have to happen? Could you put it in the chat room? What would have to happen in the next 45 to 50 minutes for you to say, oh, that wasn't so bad. I'm glad I spent my time here. New tools, new ideas you can use right away, actionable ideas. Someone would offer me my dream job. Jen, I wish I had your dream job. You're not going to be wowed today, Jen. Understand the 5 behaviors for dynamic teams, practical tools. Awesome. Awesome. Good. I think we're on the right road for you to have a good use of your time. So, already, let's start with a poll. I'm going to ask David to start it. What percentage of your teams could or should be working better together? All of our teams are doing great. I'm just here to listen and learn. Many of our teams could and should be doing better. They all could and should be doing better. Okay, 61%. You're telling me that in your organization, 61% could or should be doing better. Isn't that interesting? What percentage did we say before? 60%, right? So we have real life proof that that number is accurate. And the rest of you, 39% said that many of your teams could or should be doing better. No one said all of your teams are doing great. So there's great opportunity here. And ladies and gentlemen, it's usually put in your lap. I have many learning and development professionals who come to me and say, Kiki, my CEO says fix it. How do I do that? So let's use today together. David, could I ask you to stop sharing that? What did you think of those, the poll results? Were you shocked, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, let's move forward. Let's dive in. Could you in the chat room describe the worst teams you've ever been on? The words to describe the worst team you've ever been on. Unproductive, unorganized, not active, dysfunctional, no communication, clueless, no direction, selfish, not inclusive, have so amazing. Everybody writes so fast in this one question. Competitive, not willing to cooperate, silos, not decisive, people coming with their own goals, not the team goals, individualistic, disengaging. Gosh, you all have such experience with teams that don't work. Not having a team mindset, argumentative, selfish, negative, rude to each other, no leadership, no fun, lack of skill, poor communication, complacency, backstabbing, don't share info, disorganized, uninformed, closed-minded, no accountability, lack of commitment, no standards. Did I cover it? So why aren't our teams better? Do you want to be on a backstabbing team that doesn't do well? It was so easy for you to describe the teams that are dysfunctional, that don't work. Why aren't they better? Who wants to come off mute and give me your opinion? Why aren't our teams better?
Lack of leadership.
I was going to say they need some guidance. Not everybody knows how to function as a team. So I guess that's sort of the same thing Stephanie's saying, but they need some structure to help them know what are the best guidelines to work most effectively as a team.
You're right. You're both right. I think that was Jen and Stephanie, and you're both right. What I've found in my teams, people don't know how to team well. We have been taught how to be individual performers that we don't, unless you've been on a sports team growing up, you really didn't learn these skills. So we need to give it, it's incumbent upon us to give these skills, because otherwise we're not all moving in the same direction. So tell me, I'd like to hear from two more people. If my company's teams were doing better, we would.
Maybe my company wouldn't be going out of business.
Oh, that's a big one. Thank you, Stephanie.
It's pretty much how everybody feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Patrick. I work in a public agency, and we have a lot of scrutiny from a range of oversight bodies. And I don't think we would have as much scrutiny if our people got out of their own personal mindset, their self-serving mindset and silos, if they were willing to collaborate in team.
I'm right with you, both of you. Those are two huge repercussions of not teaming well, right? So let's give you some of the tools that can help. Thank you both for sharing. I appreciate it. So I have the solution. I think you're going to love it. What you get to see is what teams can do once they do the heavy lifting. And it does take work, and it does not happen overnight, and it doesn't happen in a 1-hour seminar. But when you do the work, this process gets great results. So 5 behaviors goals. Team members are going to trust each other more. They're going to engage in healthy conflict around ideas, even when they're not in person. They're going to really commit to decisions. They're going to hold each other accountable, even when they didn't agree initially. And they're going to focus on achieving the best collective results for all. That's the goal of this process that I'm going to share with you. And yes, it works. I have proof. So I want you to, in your mind's eye, think about it. If you achieve those goals I just said, and I'll put them back for you, what difference would it make for you, for your company, for your leaders, for your employees, and for the clients you serve? Imagine if all this happened, how much better it could be for you. So tonight, we'll discuss the 5 principles, why it matters, and specific actions for each that you can take to work tomorrow. But 2 very important points, ladies and gentlemen. 1, it all starts with each and every one of you and every leader in your organization. You can't expect your front line to do it and not have it done at the top. Number 2, you must start at the base of the pyramid. I'm going to share this pyramid with you, and you must start at the base, which is principle number 1, building trust. Do you think this is what I mean? You know, these trust exercises and rope courses. Do you think that's what I mean about building trust? What kind of trust do you think I'm talking about when building a fantastic, collaborative, cohesive team?
I think it's about, knowing that people will say what they say they will do, or people will do what they say they do, and that they do it well, and that they will have your back if they need to.
Yeah, right on target. Sonali, thank you for contributing. When we're talking about building trust, Patrick Lencioni talks about building vulnerability-based trust. And vulnerability-based trust is making sure that we have each other's backs. And the way to have each other's backs is by building relationships, by knowing each other really, really well. Building vulnerability-based trust is about being able to say when you don't know something, when you've made a mistake, when you've messed up, and you don't have to worry about the repercussions because of the strong relationships. Vulnerability-based trust is also being able to talk about your talents and your strengths and what you offer to the team without people thinking you're a braggart. Vulnerability-based trust is about transparency on the team. It's the fabric of your team. And it's where we must begin. And I'm going to ask you all to commit to something with me right now. I want you to raise your right hands. I'm looking, and I can't see all of you, but I can see most of you. And I state your name.
I,
State your name.
Stephanie.
No matter how good the rest of this program sounds that Kiki is introducing, I promise to start at the bottom of the pyramid, which is building vulnerability-based trust. Do I hear I promise? Okay.
I promise.
Here's why. We're going to go through the rest of this model and you're going to go, oh, I could really use that. Oh yeah, conflict, boy, we don't do that well. Peer-to-peer, no, we don't talk to, I'm going to start there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see the results that you can get, you must start at the base of the pyramid, which is building this vulnerability-based trust. If your teams don't feel comfortable with each other, they don't feel that they can say things without repercussions or without people talking about them when they walk out the room, you will never have this team live to its full potential. We must start here. Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. So, to increase vulnerability-based trust, team members, they need to feel in on things and they want to feel valued. So now we have a real difficult situation, ladies and gentlemen. We have so many of our people who are remote. We didn't do this well when we were in person next to each other, desk by desk. So we have to put an extra concerted effort into building vulnerability-based trust on our teams, no matter where the people are. So how do you do it? You dive into the concept of psychological safety. Are you familiar with the research that Google did on all the teams? Right? You're probably very familiar with it. And they said the number one thing that makes the difference between successful and less than successful teams is psychological safety. That comfort of knowing that I'm with my tribe and they have my back. Amy Edmonton does a really cool YouTube video that I suggest to many of my teams that I work with, that their leaders share around a table with their team, or you can watch it on Zoom together. Psychological safety is knowing that I can trust everybody on that team. So this is one of my favorite comics, Building Vulnerability-Based Trust. What if, and I know this sounds kooky, we actually communicated with our employees? This dialogue is your key. Dialogue is what helps build relationships, right? It's that getting to know you. That's what helps build vulnerability-based trust. So I'd like to give you 3 tips. These are the first 3 tips, and these will help you increase vulnerability-based trust. Number 1, start meetings with a take 5. Whether you're virtual or you're in person, it doesn't matter. Go by going around the Zoom table or the actual table and ask people how they're doing. Have the leaders ask everybody how they're doing. Instead of diving right into the content, take the 5 minutes. It makes all the difference in the world. Number 2, when somebody does share, we have to teach our leaders how to say thank you for sharing. Because that's what right? What you pay attention to grows. So when we get everybody to start sharing, we say thank you, you will see more of it. And the third one is do the brown bag exercise. It's so powerful. And you're all saying, what's the brown bag exercise? This is it. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna practice it. Is it okay if we do a little practice? You don't wanna listen to me all night, right? So let's do a little practice. We're gonna go into breakout rooms. I'm gonna break you up into groups of 4 each. We'll be in those rooms for a total of 4 minutes. But in that time, You might want to take a picture of this, or I'm going to ask Skylar. Skylar, we forgot to introduce you. Skylar is my help for today. She's my right-hand person. She helps make everything look easy. So if you would put the directions for the breakout room, you're going to just tell you have 4 people you're with, your name, what you do, where you do it, and your experience, what it was like on a team that was great. I especially want to know if there was trust on that team. So tell me about your experience in the room. Can you use this? Can you use breakout sessions on your Zoom calls when you have meetings where people are remote or you have a hybrid meeting? Good, use them. Okay, let's keep going. I wanted to share one more thing with you about in your brown bag, you can have tons of unfinished sentences that can start dialogue, because that's what builds vulnerability-based trust. So I just pulled out of my brown bag, and I suggest that you bring this to every meeting. And this one says, "You'll never believe." And what I do is I have everybody around the table finish this statement. And you'd be amazed at how much more they get to know each other, because it's all about building relationships. So use your brown bag exercise. And if anybody is interested, email me at kiki@peakperformanceleader.com. I can give you a whole list of statements that they can finish. Okay, let's roll. Principle number 2, engaging in healthy conflict. Is this what healthy conflict is? Rough them up, beat them up? No, of course not. And if it's a challenge though, because conflict needs to happen in your organization. But is this any better? Is this the way to address conflict? Push it down and push it away. Is that how we're successful? No. We really need to understand that engaging in healthy conflict is all about getting to the best solution in the shortest amount of time. I suggest with all my clients that they have robust conflict, but the way to do that is to have an environment where they truly trust each other. Because if I disagree with you, it doesn't matter. I trust you. I know that you'll hear it and you'll assume good intent. So in the chat room, would you type what one word comes to mind when you think of conflict? It doesn't have to be a negative word. Innovation, arguing, uncomfortable, spirited discussion, process, emotion, differing opinions, necessary, disagreement, uncomfortable, stress, difficult. Yeah, so what did you see with these words? Did you see that a majority of them were negative, right? There's a negative connotation to conflict. If conflict is good and it gets us to the best solution in the shortest amount of time, yet there is a negative connotation about it, what happens? We don't engage in it. So how do you deal with this? What you need to do is you need to consider how much of a problem it is. And here's an activity that you can do on your teams. Make a line. Just make a line. Some people use painter's tape. Some people take a piece of paper and put "would rather avoid it at all costs" and bring it on 2 separate pieces of paper at both ends of the room, and have the team place themselves on this continuum. Let them just stand on the line, stand somewhere on this continuum, and then start the conversation. Ask the team, how will this impact us moving forward? If you over here want to avoid it at all costs, and you over here say, bring it on. And that generates the conversation. And from there, you can generate norms. Because you can say, well, what are we going to do about this moving forward? We know that we're not always going to agree, and we don't want everybody to agree, right? Consensus kills innovation. Don't wait for consensus. You'll waste time. What you want to get is you want to get to agreement, but people need to be able to share their thoughts and share their opinions, especially if they disagree. So do the conflict continuum. Have everybody do it with your own team and see what kind of conversation it generates. Generate your norms. Engaging in healthy conflict, here's 3 tips. Once there's vulnerability-based trust, remember, You have to start at the base of the pyramid. Here's what you can do. Set the expectation that conflict is welcome. Have an open conversation, deliberately creating the norms for conflict. And during meetings, purposefully mine for conflict, even when you're on Zoom, even if it's uncomfortable. Mine for the conflict. And here's why. If you don't find out the disagreement up front, I guarantee you'll find it, but it won't be for months later. And there'll be so much wasted time and energy. And 70 to 90% of the conflict that arises is usually from a miscommunication. So talk it out. The dialogue will help. Okay, quick check. We doing okay? Thumbs up, thumbs down? Principle number 3, gaining commitment. Here's the key. If you have vulnerability-based trust and people feel comfortable, right? They feel comfortable sharing their strengths, their challenges. So when you have vulnerability-based trust and you have people truly transparent with each other, sharing all their, their fears, their concerns, where they mess up, their strengths, their talents, warts and all, then you have a group of people who's willing to engage in healthy conflict. They're willing to disagree, right? They're willing to verbalize their concerns and their thoughts, because it's only when people have a chance to weigh in will they buy in, right? And that's how you gain commitment. So this is one of my favorite quotes. There's a difference between interest and commitment. When you're interested in doing something, you do it only when it's convenient. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results. That's one of my favorite. Gaining commitment is much easier once you've heard from everyone and have allowed healthy conflict. So make sure you create that environment. How do you do it? You have to start with clarity. What do you need before you commit to something, right? Do you need numbers? Do you need time? Do you need the community to talk? Do you need to know what the revenue or the resources are, right? Or what about the other people? We all commit for different reasons. Make sure you understand what your reasons are and know that we're all different. So 3 tips to gain commitment. Over-provide consistent and clear communication. That's not a typo. That's just my bad Brooklyn language. Over-provide consistent and clear communication. Give everyone a chance to weigh in. Don't be fooled by the nods up and down. I'm sure you've all been there. I led a team and I remember seeing people nodding. Yes, Kiki, of course, Kiki. And then all of a sudden, a week later, nothing was happening. We know that people yes us to death, and you don't want that to happen, because once they walk out the door or turn off the Zoom, they're like, there is no way I'm doing that. Don't let that happen. And the way to help you is by doing the commitment exercise. Once you think you've had agreement with everybody, go around the table, the Zoom table or the real table, and say, do I have your commitment on this? And what does that commitment mean to you? You literally take the 5 to 10 minutes to go to every person around the table and ask them, do I have a thumbs up or do I have a thumbs down? And I challenge you that the minute you have somebody wavering that's not sure, they give you a thumbs down, you stop right there and you say, okay, let's dive back in. Let's revisit this. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. You don't want to be one of the 60% of the teams that fail because they didn't get commitment up front. I'm getting all heated about this. Okay, gotta calm down. Principle number 4, peer-to-peer accountability. This is the one that everybody wants to skip up to. Oh, nobody talks in my business. I want everybody to do this. And this is one of the most troubling principles to really gain improvement on, because oftentimes we don't spend enough time down here in building vulnerability-based trust. What stops it in an organization? What stops it in your organization? Peers holding each other accountable, not waiting for the leader to have to do it. So let's break out again. Let's do it in 4 different rooms, David, if you don't mind. Let's do it again, 4 minutes total. And I'm going to show you the questions on the next slide. You're going to share for 1 minute each. And you can take a picture of the next slide, but I'm going to ask 1 or 2 of you to contribute after. And I'm going to ask Skylar, please put this in the chat room. Up until now, what has held people back from holding each other accountable on in your organization, on your teams? Do you think working remotely will make it easier or harder to hold people accountable moving forward? And come up with 1 idea, 1 suggestion on how to help your teams be more accountable, whether in person or remote. Welcome back. So can you put in the chat room, what are some of the things that came up for you of why your teams can't hold each other accountable? While you're typing, I'm going to share what was in my room. No clear commitments, no follow-up, there's a lack of authority. People are assuming because people said they would do it, that they were going to do it. So many initiatives, some are temporary, some are changing, some are real, some aren't. We don't know what's happening and what isn't. And there's no clarity. Culture of distrust. Let's see what else is in the chat room. Can someone, I've lost my chat room, so would you read them out to me, David or Skylar?
I'm happy to, yeah, so make things awkward, lack of authority, too many directives. I think you said holding on to past experiences already, culture of distrust, no measurement, fear of people getting upset.
Yeah, these are all things that stop us. So we need to move forward and help our teams feel more comfortable holding each other accountable, especially when the leader isn't available. That's going to be the key. 3 tips to help you with peer-to-peer accountability. 1, crystal clear commitments publicly agreed to. Who, what, where, by when. Practice having everyone share something positive about 2 other people at every meeting. People are not comfortable giving compliments. If they're not comfortable giving compliments, they're surely not going to give stressful information. And 3, at every meeting, have at least 1 person say, it would help me to do my job better if David would share the information with me earlier in the week, then I could get it done. When you start making that the norm and you practice doing that, it becomes easier and it becomes natural. But people, remember, they haven't learned how to do this. We have to teach them. So as though we have to teach our leaders to be the role models and to expect this to happen when they're not around. The 5th principle is collective results. If we're not looking at collective results, what kind of results do you think we're looking at? Who wants to put that, who wants to unmute themselves or put themselves in a chat? If we're not looking at collective results on the team, what are we doing?
I am seeing a lot of individual results. I also heard no results or see no results and rogue results.
Yeah, right. So once again, all those individuals or no results at all, which is even more frightening. So when we look at collective results, what we find is it's a great talk, but we don't walk our walk. Oftentimes, our teams are made up of people who are in silos. You're all familiar with it. Silos, I'm going to skip the poll, David, but silos where people are more concerned and interested and worried about their own results or their own department rather than the results of the organization as a whole. I was going to ask if you guys see silos. Put it in the chat if you think there are silos. You know, is marketing working against finance, working against service excellence, working against operations? I see it all the time. So how do you focus on collective results? You dive deeply with the people on the team. Understand what motivates and what stresses each member. And guess what? All you have to do is ask them. Many of you do behavioral assessments. It'll show some light on the person's personality, right? if what motivates them is being a lone ranger and getting the results on their own, that's going to be in conflict with where we're trying to go with collective goals. Be crystal clear on what success looks like. And then tip number 3, tomorrow when you talk about what success looks like, ask each team member to share what they specifically will do to achieve that definition of success. Those are 3 tips to help you. That's the model, ladies and gentlemen. Are you all jumping up and down? I hope so. I hope so. Because let's review. With true transparency and vulnerability-based trust, people feel more comfortable sharing and disagreeing. They can give their opinion and they feel heard. And only after that will they feel comfortable committing, even when they didn't agree originally. Others can now hold them to that public commitment because you have clarity. You have it declared that you know what we'll do, who will do it, by when. And we'll know that we're all going to be working towards the ultimate good of the organization. So before I get to your thoughts, because some of you are going to hop off in a minute, remember, anybody who registered and showed up is offered a free assessment. If you want to experience the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team personal development assessment, which will give you incredible information and insight into how you are on a team, please email me. My email, and Skylar will please put it in the chat, Kiki, K-I-K-I, at peakperformanceleader.com. It looks like this. It gives you incredible information about you on your team, on any team, according to the 5 principles. Okay, remember, ideas without action is just daydreaming. So who's gonna come off mute and share with me one thing they're gonna do differently because of this hour that we spent together? Who's gonna come off mute?
I'll come off mute. This is Maria. And I think one of the things that I thought about was going around and in the meetings, right, and sharing those positive things to get people comfortable around that. I think that's something that's low risk that we could start doing to shift the behavior.
Yeah, thank you, Maria. When you get involved more and more in this process, the 5 behaviors process, there's an amazing activity which has people, we initially start with sharing positive, but then we go deeper and we have them share constructive information, which it would help me to do my job better if. And people are shocked when they get this information. They're like, I didn't know I needed to do it differently. Thank you. Thank you, Maria, for sharing. Who else? Somebody else? What one thing you'll do differently because of this information?
Yes, I think starting with that 5-minute check-in and going around the table to see how everyone is doing instead of just diving into the task.
Yes, please do that. And don't forget, put that 5 minutes onto your agenda so that it's included in the time and it doesn't make the meeting go late. That's a great idea, Ruth. Thank you. I am going to stay for anybody who has to leave. Thank you so much, Kiki at peakperformanceleader.com. But I'm staying to answer. And was this, so that, goodbye to everybody who has to go, but hello to everybody who's staying. Was this helpful? Did I, do you have questions for me? Can I come off share?
I was just going to say, yeah, no, I definitely think you gave us some really good practical tips, and you know, the brown bag activity too. I know you said we could get a list of those questions, those starters. I think that's another helpful resource and an easy thing to begin implementing as well. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And somebody had mentioned they wanted some tools and tips for their frontline supervisors and managers. This is an amazing, easy, low risk activity to teach them how to do for their teams, to start generating dialogue and diving more deeply to build relationships. Who else?
Kiki, this is Greg. I think one of the points you made earlier was that you need to share all this information. So talk to your friends, your coworkers about all that stuff, make sure they understand, maybe that'll spark some interest, and then you might be able to partner to bring that to your team or to a different team or something like that. So don't keep it to yourself.
Oh, share it. We have to cascade. We have to share the wealth, share the information.
Thanks so much, Kiki. Thank you, everybody.
My pleasure. Thank you, everyone. I look forward
Have a great night.
Get in touch with me. Keep in touch. Bye, everybody.